Jen Springer here of jenspringer.com, and today I'm going to talk about Candida yeast. Ugh. I've done a couple other yeast videos for you, or Candida videos, so make sure you check those out on my channel. Subscribe to the channel because I always have new things coming out, because my area of passion is Candida, hormones, mold exposure. I mean, telling you this is the yucky, complicated stuff, but when you really know what's happening, it's not so complicated. So let's talk about Candida just for a quick second. Now, Candida is a natural occurring fungus in the body, and normally it is in the yeast form. But when it gets a little out of control and starts to grow too much, it can become fungal, and it can cause all kinds of crazy types of symptoms. Now, I'm not going to get into that today because I'm going to talk about the 6 things you can do to stop it and get it gone for good. Now, one thing I'm not going to tell you, which you're going to be surprised, is everybody tells you heal your gut, heal your gut. Your gut needs to be blah, 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 you know, fix this, fix that, take L-glutamine, you know, take all this other stuff to get rid of the fungus, you know, aloe vera and bone broth and all this stuff. Yes, that can be part of the protocol. However, if these other factors, especially the first couple I'm going to talk about, are not in place, the Candida is going to come back. You will chase symptoms and you will never get to the root cause unless you handle some of these things I'm going to tell you. And the problem is that Candida is a witness to a greater crime. Candida just doesn't grow out of control on its own. And if you don't have an environment in your body that is conducive to yeast overgrowing, or Candida, you are not going to overgrow. So it means the terrain in your body needs to be fixed. All right, so first thing, fix your thyroid. This is the #1 most foundational things that 99% of people miss, is the thyroid is either not functioning clinically, hypothyroid, or subclinically. And you might need a practitioner to help you get into the subclinical hypothyroidism, especially if you get the labs drawn and the doc's like, everything's fine, and you go and you look and you got every symptom of hypothyroidism. So that's the first one, because if your body is not at optimal temperature, the Candida has nothing to keep it down, right? Because if your body is 96.9 or 97 degrees, 97.6, I hear that a lot. That I know people even have like 90, they operate in the 96s. So if your body temp isn't up high enough, the yeast will overgrow, right? Because it's cool and it's damp and it's warm in your body. The second thing is with the thyroid is when you have low thyroid levels, especially the T3 hormone, you have high sugar in your blood. And guess what Candida likes to eat? Sugar, just like when you put yeast into your bread starter, okay? So that's the first thing, is fix the thyroid. The second thing is to get the hydrochloric acid balanced in your stomach. You know, so many people are taking all these nutrients for their gut and they're going into the lower GI, taking probiotics and, you know, different amino acids and bone broth, like I already mentioned. But if the hydrochloric acid is not at optimal levels in your stomach, guess what? Candida will overgrow. And I could go on for 20 minutes on hydrochloric acid and why it's good for you. And there's a book by Jonathan Wright called Why Hydrochloric Acid is Good for You, or Stomach Acid is Good for You. It's Jonathan Wright. I suggest getting that book. But the hydrochloric acid sets the stage for your entire gastrointestinal tract. And if that pH is not low in your stomach, everything else is whacked. So get that straight. The third thing is lower estrogen levels. Now, we have so many things, you know, out there about anti-estrogen diets and anti-estrogen cleanses and estrogen estrogen dominance and things like that. The problem is that estrogen, when it's high in the body, is very much a promoter of high sugar in the blood. And that's why when women have hormone fluctuations, they will often get yeast infections, okay? So one of the things is to bring down the estrogen levels. I don't even know why I said estrogen overgrowth, because, well, sometimes it feels like that, but it's actually a hormone that gets elevated. And it's not just within your body, it's also estrogens that are in the environment through our daily exposures with personal care items, foods, not organics, you know, things like that. There's so many things that could add to that. So the third thing is lower your estrogen levels. The fourth thing is eat an antifungal diet. There are so many foods out there that are actually keeping what we call the critters in check, and it's very important to eat a diet that is antifungal. All right, Cheetos and ice cream and pizza are not antifungal. I'm just going to tell you, okay? Number 6 is do a yeast cleanse, or number 5. Number 5 is do a yeast cleanse. Now you can't just do a yeast or Candida cleanse on its own without handling these other things, because that's just like taking the floor and sweeping out the junk and then never expecting it to get dirty again when people walk on it. Because if you haven't fixed the terrain, you know, if you don't keep people over there with their, you know, taking their shoes off and just in their socks, you've got to maintain this on a regular basis and get your terrain correct, or any cleanse may work temporarily, but it's going to grow back. So that's why it's lower on the list. And then number 6 is this, is take yeast, anti-yeast minerals. There are certain minerals that help with keeping the yeast under control and not reproducing. And also there are minerals that kill yeast. Like bam, kill the yeast. And so it's important to do those as well. So there are 6, those are 6 things. Let me run through them really quick for you. Number 1 is fix your thyroid. 2 is get your hydrochloric acid balanced in your stomach. 3 is get your estrogen levels under control environmentally and internally, your own hormones. Number 4 is eat an antifungal diet. Number 5 is do a yeast cleanse. And number 6 is take the yeast minerals. So I hope this helps. I try not to go too long in this video. Make sure you subscribe below. If you want to give me a chat or you got any questions, visit me at jenspringer.com and I can help you with this, answer any questions, or one of my associates might be able to do that as well. So I hope this was helpful for you with these 6 things that you can do to get your Candida under control and bring it back down into levels in which it's supposed to be. And yes, you're supposed to have some in your GI to help as a scavenger, but when it overgrows, it is a bad thing. All right, so check it out, guys.